Now let us examine the Khilafah of Bani al-Abbas and what they had to bring into the religion of Islam after your loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Brothers, move as forward as possible. Move as forward as possible. 3 salawats, move forward. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. No. You don't have to stick to each other, please. Separate. Somebody has to manage those young boys. Brothers, you didn't move enough. All this side, fill this side. Move close, move close. We still have some. Don't stick to each other, please. 2 more salawats and fill in the gaps, please. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I think the carpet has some glue, huh? Especially towards that side. The Abbasi influence began due to the decline of Bani Umayyah. Listen to this, we have spoken of Islam and Islamic history from the demise of Rasulullah onwards. We have reached Bani Umayyah yesterday when we discussed them. Today we speak of Bani al-Abbas. But what did we say about Bani Umayyah? We said Bani Umayyah divided between the Arabs and the non-Arabs. They respected the Arabs and disrespected the non-Arabs. And they had a definition called al-Hujana. What were the Hujana? Hujana were the people who had mixed blood. So the first type of payment, the grand payment, was given to those who were from Bani Umayyah, the elite. Second was given to the alliances of Bani Umayyah. Third was given to the Arabs. Fourth was given to the Hujana, the mix, Arab and non-Arab. Then to the non-Arabs who were Muslim before conquest and last Muslims after conquest. So you had 6 different classes in an Islamic empire. And they were all given differently from Bayt al-Mal. And of course this upset a lot of people, especially the non-Arabs. And many people were not given from Bayt al-Mal. Anybody who had fought Bani Umayyah, anybody who was considered in opposition to Bani Umayyah, anybody who was not considered a follower of Bani Umayyah, was not given from Bayt al-Mal. So this created an uproar into the Muslim empire. In the year 130, Abu Muslim al-Khurasani, a man from Khurasan, was able to convert Khurasan. Khurasan is where Imam al-Rida is buried, in Persia. He was supported by the Persians to overthrow the rule of Bani al-Abbas in Khurasan. Abu Muslim al-Khurasani, very young man, but very brave. He was extremely powerful as a leader. He was able to overthrow the rule of Bani al-Abbas in Khurasan, and a man by the name of Abu Salam al-Khallal in Kufa. Abu Salam al-Khallal, he rode the waves after the killing of Mukhtar ibn Abu Ubaid al-Thaqafi. And then I spoke to you yesterday of Zayd al-Shaheed towards the end, the 121st year after the Hijrah. Towards the end, and 4 years his body was crucified. And revolutions after the revolution of Zayd, the followers of Ahl al-Bayt and the Shia were also extremely upset. So Abu Salam al-Khallal had an uprising in Kufa, and he overthrew the rule of Bani Umayyah in Kufa. So Kufa and Khurasan became part of a revolution. But this revolution wasn't known. What is this revolution? Where is it leading? They told them it's leading towards the governance and the rule of Ar-Ridha min Ali Muhammad. The pleasing of Ahl al-Bayt. The pleasure of Ahl al-Bayt. Under the guidelines of Ahl al-Bayt. Two things. One, those who were non-Arabs had a lot of power, and they wanted Ahl al-Bayt as the rulers because they saw them as people of knowledge, of virtue, of justice. And also the Shia who were being prosecuted and killed. They saw Hussein being killed, and after Hussein they saw the prosecution of Al-Mukhtar, they saw the prosecution of Zayd al-Shaheed, they saw the prosecution of many people in the name of Imam al-Hussein and the revolt against Bani Umayyah. So the government's title was, it's going to be a government for Ahl al-Bayt. And the most influential people in that government, in the revolution, were the followers of Ahl al-Bayt. Specifically, after the demise of Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, when he died, he had a son by the name of Abu Hashim. Abu Hashim took leadership after Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, and he continued to gain power. What happened was, the power remained in the hands of the sons of Abu Talib, At-Talibiyun, and their children until the demise of Abu Hashim. Then it shifted from Abu Talib, the son of Abu Talib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and his children to their cousins, the sons of Abbas. And they said, no. We are all one family. We are here to protect the rights of Ahl al-Bayt. We are here to have an uprising to take the vengeance of Hussein ibn Ali and Zayd al-Shaheed and the rest of the shuhada, and to stop the dhulm of Bani Umayyah. So Abu Salam al-Khallal called the first Abbasi Caliph Abu Abbas or Abdullah. His name was Abdullah. His title was Abu al-Abbas. He came and he gave his very first sermon. And after that sermon, he was referred to as Al-Saffah. There, in that sermon in Kufa, after the uprising of Kufa, he says that Allah has honored us Ahl al-Bayt. It was the progeny of Abbas, the uncle of Rasulullah, the progeny of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the famous scholar, respected clan. He says, Allah has honored us, the Ahl al-Bayt, and we will govern with justice, and we will take the vengeance of those who have seen injustice and dhulm, but those who stand against us, فَأَنَا السَّفَّاحِ. Now, people will tell you, Saffah means I am the one who will spill the blood, in Arabic. But some people have told you, no, Saffah means I am the one that gives, I am the generous. Because it has two definitions in the Arabic language. Anyhow, he was the pioneer of the spilling of blood. When he took charge and things calmed down, so what happened was, they had a battle between Marwan al-Umawi, Marwan al-Himar, who we spoke about yesterday, Marwan the mule, the last the last Umawi Khalifa. They chased him to Sham. He was defeated with 40,000 soldiers. He had 40,000 soldiers. The last army of Bani Umayyah defeated. He ran to Egypt. He went into the church. We spoke to you about this yesterday. They got him out of the church. They killed him. Then the Muslim community slowly began to pay allegiance to Abu Abbas al-Saffah, or Abdullah al-Saffah, the first Abbasi Khalifa. When he took charge of the Ummah, now he decided that he has to get rid of whom? Abu Muslim al-Khurasan and Abu Salam al-Khallal, because of their achievements. They served them, they got them there. So he began to shift the power from a government ruled by military to a government ruled by the dynasty of the Abbasis. So he brought his children and his brothers and his nephews and his cousins and put them in charge. And slowly took away the powers from the military. He was not able to put an end to Abu Muslim al-Khurasani, but his brother Abu Ja'far al-Mansur al-Abbasi, when he came, he made it a point to get rid of this young leader, this young warrior, Abu Muslim al-Khurasani, who was from Khurasan. Abu Muslim had gone to Hajj, and then the Abbasi Khalifa arrived after him. So he saw the huge entourage, amount of respect. People are going to this guy as if he was the Khalifa. So he asked, who is this guy? They said, this is Abu Muslim al-Khurasani. He's your commander-in-chief of the army. At that time, he decided that Abu Muslim has to. So he spoke to two of the best friends of Abu Muslim al-Khurasani. He said to them, listen, you want to take the position of Abu Muslim? Go and convince him to come and visit me and give me allegiance. Abu Muslim had given allegiance to the Khalifa, but not in person. They said, bring him in person to give the bay'ah here. And Abu Muslim had asked for the hand of the sister of the Khalifa, and the Khalifa had rejected, so there was some friction there. They told him, you are Persian, how can we give you, our daughter? Anyhow, so when the Abu Muslim came to give allegiance, obviously you know what they did to him. In the middle of the night, they killed him, they took away his weapons and they killed him, and that was the end of Abu Muslim al-Khurasani. And after that, they had one more opposition left. The revolution began by the Shia and the Taliban, and in the name of the children of Al-Ali, and now they have no position in power, so now they have to take them out. Allahu Akbar. The amount of murder in the Sayyids, and the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the children of Imam Hassan, and the children of Imam Hussein, and the children of Zayn al-Abidin, and the children of Imam al-Baqir, and the children of Imam al-Sadiq, and continue their lineage until Imam al-Ridha and Imam al-Jawad. The amount of killing in Ahl al-Bayt had multiplied in the time of Bani al-Abbas by many folds than the time of Bani Umayyah. They were thirsty for the blood of Al-Ali. And I will tell you how. And I will tell you some of the things that they have done. Now, amongst the greatest of heroes and personalities of Bani al-Abbas is Harun, also known as Harun al-Rashid, Harun the Wise. Harun, who is praised and he's seen to be a hero. Harun al-Abbasi was indeed a hero, a pioneer in being a criminal, and killing innocent people, and teaching Bani al-Abbas not to ever have mercy with anybody who opposes them. The most important thing is conquering territory and land. In one shipment, they brought the Khalifa 60,000 slaves that were women, to bring and give to the Khalifa. 60,000. Imagine this number for a second. 60,000 women who were taken as prisoners of war, a gift to the Khalifa. What is he going to do with 60,000 women? In one battle, 350,000 women were taken as prisoners of war from different parts of the world. Go look at the so-called liberation or the conquest of Tbilisi. 50,000 people were killed in one day. Burned. Their homes were burned down. Women who were pregnant, carrying their children, were slaughtered. by the army that had conquests of Islam. Rasulullah, after the battle of Uhud, they took some captives. They took captives because they had taken captives from Muslims. And they were waiting for an exchange deal. We give you 2, you give us 2. They had an exchange deal between the Muslims and the pagan Arabs. The next day, Rasulullah, when they came to wake him up, he was so tired. He was so sleepy. They told him, Ya Rasulullah, you seem so tired. What is wrong with you? He says, I could not sleep the whole night. They said, why? He said, because we have ropes on the hands of those people. And one of them, he was saying, ah, every while. He was saying, ah. From the rope, he was saying, ah. And I was heartbroken for him. He is our asir. I want to find a solution. And let us make a deal with them immediately. Let's not keep those people in a limbo. This is Islam. This is the mercy of Rasulullah. Not going into a land and forcing them into the religion of Islam. And if they don't enter Islam, then we burn them and we kill them. And they don't know where this Islam came to them. In the middle of the night it comes and it takes 50,000 human lives. All in the name of Allahu Akbar. Today, don't be surprised when you see people say Allahu Akbar and detonate a bomb. Allahu Akbar and chop a head. Allahu Akbar and kill innocent people. Allahu Akbar and drive the plane into the World Trade Center. Why? Because a period of Islam that some people will tell you it is the golden era of Islam, it is the most shameful part of Islamic history. It is the disgrace of Islam. The decline of Islam, the decline of morality and ethics. Where one man calls himself the Khalifa of Allah and Rasulullah and has 60,000. And his son, Harun al-Rashid, his son, he had 2 sons, Al-Amin and Ma'mun. We'll talk about the Ma'mun. But Al-Amin, his mother, Zubaydah, used to tell him, son, please get married. He had other type of inclinations. So his mother was forced to, the woman, she would cut their hair like boys and dress them like boys, and then Khalifa's son, who also became a Khalifa himself, would then marry them. He told one of the conquerors, one of the heads of the army, please also add some of the young boys when you bring them from Europe, add them into this conquest. This was the Khalifa of the Muslims, because 60,000 women were not enough for the Khalifa. And those are the people that must be honored and glorified in Islam. Let us know history. Let us read history. For how long will we say we have to remain silent and not talk about history? History is irrelevant. Wallahi, history today is the most relevant thing that needs to be discussed. Because when you see Islam being hijacked, misunderstood, and it needs to be redefined and reevaluated, it all traces back to history. And there are things, wallahi, I cannot say from the minbar. Go read them in the books. I cannot say them from the minbar. I have already said more than enough. Al-Amin and Ma'mun, the 2 sons of Harun al-Rashid, he put Al-Amin as his successor. And Ma'mun, he sent him to Khurasan. He said to him, you govern Khurasan, and this guy, you stay in Baghdad. When the father died, Al-Amin became the Khalifa. Ma'mun came with his army, ransacked Baghdad, killed his own brother, crucified him, and said to them, you have to, every person in Baghdad has to curse my brother. Curse him. So, people started cursing. When they come, there was a guy sitting. You curse Al-Amin, and Al-Ma'mun pays you. So someone came, he wanted more money. I think he had a loan or something. So he came, he said, may Allah curse you, may Allah curse your father, may Allah curse your mother, may Allah curse your brother, may Allah curse your... He said, come, Khalas. Just curse him, do you cursing me and my dad and my whole clan? So they took the body down. Go read history. Brothers, now this Al-Amin had to look for legitimacy. How can you kill your own brother for the sake of power? So what did he do? He called on to the grandson of Rasulullah, Al-Imam al-Ridha, to come all the way from Medina and to accept becoming the successor of the Khalifa. Imam al-Ridha refused, but he was not given a choice. You either come by choice or we will drag you. Imagine somebody who kills his own brother and asks people to curse him. You think you can defy this guy? And they tell you that he was Shia and he loved Imam al-Ridha and they were cousins. Wallahi, this is ignorance. People don't read history. They hear something from here, read something from there, and they make their own version of Islam and they start. Anyhow, he brought in Imam al-Ridha, and Imam al-Ridha told him, I don't want to have anything into politics, any decision making, nothing. And you all know the biography of Imam al-Ridha. Until the power of Imam al-Ridha became so strong that he outpowered the Khalifa, outshined the Khalifa. And of course he's Imam al-Ridha. He's the Ma'soom. He's given knowledge by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he tried his best to show a weakness to the people from Imam al-Ridha. So he brought Sunni scholars to debate him. Imam al-Ridha won. Go read Kitab al-Ihtijaj, the debates of Imam al-Ridha. He brought atheists to debate Imam al-Ridha. And all the debates were public. And of course, Imam al-Ridha shined as the scholar and the alim of Al-Muhammad. And he brought in Jews, he brought in Christians, he brought in all sorts of denominations to debate Imam al-Ridha. In one gathering, he had 1,000 of the ulama versus Imam al-Ridha, so that he can show a weakness from him, so that one time, somewhere, somehow he'll slip. People will see him as somebody who lacks some kind of knowledge, some kind of skills. But Imam al-Ridha kept shining and dispersed from Imam al-Ridha like an ocean and a river, knowledge and ilm and wisdom and taqwa and piety and righteousness, until he could not bear it. So what did he do to him? He poisoned him and he killed him. And he forced his son, Al-Imam al-Jawad, to be engaged to his own daughter at a very young age. And they continued not only fight Ahl al-Bayt, but those who also stood with Ahl al-Bayt. For example, Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the most honored and respected scholars in Sunni Islam, Imam al-Hadith, was killed by the Abbasiyas. Al-Mutawakkil al-Abbasi killed him. He beat him, he imprisoned him, he disrespected him, humiliated him. Al-Mutawakkil, when he came, the first thing on his agenda was to bring disrespect to Ahl al-Bayt. You know what Mutawakkil used to do? Mutawakkil used to bring a clown into the majlis. And this clown would be bald and he would have a big belly and he would say nonsense. And then Mutawakkil would be drunk, so he would say to this clown, "Who are you?" And he would say, "I am Ali ibn Abi Talib," and people would laugh. And his son told him, "Father, you are Nasibi. Rasulullah has said the definition between haqq and batil is Ali. A munafiq and a mu'min is defined and judged according to their love for Ali. You are a Nasibi." He warned him many times. But he continued to curse Ali ibn Abi Talib and to speak of the chastity of Fatima al-Zahra. لعنه الله. Al-Mutawakkil tried 4 times to destroy the grave of Imam al-Hussein. And it was in the time of Al-Mutawakkil al-Abbasi that they created a flood so that it can go towards the grave of Imam al-Hussein, so that the flood would dig the grave of Hussein and the body of Hussein would be dug out of the grave. And he would chop the hands of the Za'ireen of Hussein. If you are a Za'ir of Hussein, they would chop your hands. And that is why people would say, لو قطعوا أرجلنا واليدين نأتيك زحفا سيدي يا حسين. If they cut our hands, then we will crawl with our feet to you, Ya Hussein. They would go, some of them would have no arm. He would say, you're missing an arm. We cut your arm yet last year because you were the visitor of Hussein. He says, please take my left arm, but I will not stop the visitation of Hussein. لو قطعوا أرجلنا واليدين. If they cut our limbs, this was the call of the Shia of Hussein. We will crawl to his grave. Take our limbs, take our hands. What is our hand compared to the hand of Hussein? What is our feet compared to the status of Hussein ibn Ali ibn Fatima? And he made that flood come towards the grave of Imam al-Hussein, but with the mu'jizah of Allah. Allah who protects Hussein, who loves Hussein, who honors Hussein. According to Sahih Muslim, أحب الله من أحب حسينا حسين مني وأنا من حسين. Rasulullah says, Allah loves those who love Hussein. Allah has chosen for Hussein to be the torch of light. Then the water surrounds the grave of Hussein, and it revolves around the grave of Hussein, and it does tawaf around the shrine of Hussein, and that is why that area today is known as Al-Ha'ir al-Husayni. Al-Ha'ir al-Husayni. What is the history of Al-Ha'ir al-Husayni? Where the water kept circulating around the grave. Har, the water was confused. The water did not take its natural course of rotation. Why? Because there was a superpower there to protect the shrine of Hussein. And Rasulullah predicted this. He would tell his uncle, وَيْلٌ لِذُرِّيَّتِي مِنْ أَوْلَادِكَ يَا عَبَّاسِ. Wail is great punishment, great hardship, great agony. Rasulullah, every time he would see Abbas, on many occasions his uncle, he would say, Wailun, wail. Wailun li dhurriyati, my dhurriya, my progeny will see wail from your children, Abbas. So Rasulullah predicted this. He told him. And he wanted history to write this. And amongst the strategies, the masa'ib that fell, don't think that the masa'ib, yes, the greatest of masa'ib is the masa'ib of Hussein, but don't think that Ahl al-Bayt and the children of Hussein were saved from masa'ib after Ashura. They say that one day, Harun, he was drunk. He called on to one of his ministers. His name was Ibn Qahtaba. He was sleeping, so they called him and they said to him, Ajib al-Amir. They came. He said to him, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. But Amir al-Mu'mineen was drunk. So he says to him, what do you have to offer to Amir al-Mu'mineen? Ibn Qahtaba, what do you have to offer to Amir al-Mu'mineen? He says, I can offer my wealth to Amir al-Mu'mineen. All of my wealth. He says, what good is your wealth? I am more wealthy than you. You've gathered your wealth from us. What good is your wealth? He says, I am willing to give myself. He says, I have so many soldiers and slaves, and what good is your life? He says, I am willing to offer my haram, his wife and his daughters and his sisters, to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says to him, I have so many women in my haram. What do I need your... And then he says, I am now offering my faith my iman to Amir al-Mu'mineen, my akhirah to Amir al-Mu'mineen, then he says, I am a purchaser. I purchase your akhirah from you. This is a conversation between the Khalifa and his minister. So he said to him, leave. When he was about to leave, a man came to him. He said to him, where are you going? He says, I'm going to sleep. This is the middle of the night. The Khalifa is drunk. He's harassing me. He says, you just sold your akhirah. We have work now. He says, where? He says, come with me. He took him to a prison, a dungeon. They opened the door. He saw 20 old men with white beards, with faces full of noor. He gave him the sword. He said, Ibn Qahtaba, boy, behead every one of them. He said to him, why? What is their crime? What have they done? He said to him, what are you afraid of? Haven't you sold your akhirah? You gave your akhirah. So what is it that's stopping you? Ajib al-Amir. So he said, I executed every one of them. I beheaded them. He said, I was about to leave. My body was full of blood. My hands were full of blood. He said to me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to sleep. He says to him, he opened another dungeon. Middle-aged men. He said, I saw them. I can tell they were honorable people. He said, I beheaded every one of them. I was about to leave. He said, one more dungeon. I opened, there were children. Children. He says, I was about to finish them off. The last child, he told me, Ibn Qahtaba, do you know who we are? Do you know what is our crime? He said, no, wallahi, I don't know who you are and I don't know what your crime is. He says, our crime is that we are the lineage of Ali ibn Abi Talib. We are all Sayyid. You have now killed the fathers, the grandfathers, and the fathers and the children. And our only crime is that we are the grandsons of Rasulullah. What will you tell our mother Fatima? What will you tell our grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen? He says, I was shaking. I felt that I am in the midst of Jahannam. He ran away. He was inflicted by a mental disease. You know, he could not rest anymore. Exactly what happened to Umar bin Sa'ad. Exactly what happened to Ubaidullah bin Ziyad. Exactly what happened to all those who survived the day of Ashura. Go read what happened to them. They were inflicted with the worst of mental illnesses, suffering, not enjoying life. Yes, they had mansions and slaves and money, but they could not sleep at night. They were shivering and shaking until they were killed. And they received their jaza and the dunya before the akhirah. This is our history, brothers and sisters. Those are the miseries that fell onto the Muslims, and specifically the Ahl al-Bayt, the Al of Rasulullah. But again, we say, Ya Aba Abdullah, Ya La Yawm Ka Yawmika Ya Aba Abdullah. There is no day in history of humanity like the day of Al-Imam al-Hussein, the day of Ashura. There are no hours in history like those hours that we are living now, the eve of Ashura. Before the dawn, one poet says in his lines of poetry, speaking to this evening, he says, this evening, I beg you, do not break into dawn. Delay your hours, prolong your hours, so that we can spend more time with Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of Rasulullah, the Habib of Rasulullah, the Rayhana of Rasulullah. Brothers, tonight is the night of Aza. Tonight is the night of Masa'ib. Tonight is the night of calamity. Tonight is the night that Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Fatimatu Zahra, Sahibu Zaman is in Aza. Tonight is the night that we do not become bakhil with our tears for Hussein. with our cries for Hussein, with our sarkha for Hussein, with our na'ra for Hussein. Tonight is the night that his mother Fatima sits in his aza. His grandfather Rasulullah sits in his aza. We say to him, Ya Sayyidina, Ya Aba Abdullah, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, we wish we were amongst your za'ireen this evening. Indeed. We wish we were amongst those who stood in front of your grave in Karbala and said, Labbayka ya Hussein. In kana lam ulabbik hina sarkhatuka fi yawmi Ashura. If I was not there on the 10th of Muharram to say to you, Labbayka ya Hussein, Labbayka ya Da'i Allah, but I am here now to give you my allegiance with my nafs and my ruh and my existence and my children and my wealth and everything that I have is a gift to you, Ya Hussein. Is dedicated to you, Ya Hussein. And even though we are not amongst your za'ireen there, but we are amongst your za'ireen all the way from here. We travel to you with our souls. We travel to you with our love. Ya Sayyidana wa Mawlana, Ya Ibn Rasulillah, Ya Aba Abdullah, inna tawajjahna wastashfa'na wa tawassalna bika ila Allah wa qaddamnaka bayna yaday حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا بك إلى الله لك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله. Dim the lights. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا ابن فاطمة يا ابن الزهراء يا وجيها عند الله